What's going on, everybody? Rasati out here in Singapore. Thank you so much for joining me on the Night Owl podcast. And you know what? I have a confession to make today. I have been procrastinating again. I've done a lot of episodes on procrastination, but I'm giving you examples from my own life, mostly because I kind of need to confess. So once I get it out there, I'm forcing myself to hold myself accountable so I don't fall, prey to this silly mindset that I get into sometimes. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my business. So as you all know, I've been running this Rasati brand for myself for about 3 years now. And what started out as just a podcast and a blog, the blog kind of fell off for a little bit, and the podcast has been going strong ever since. So I'm almost up to 780 episodes. I'm still trying to hit 1,000 by the end of this year. We'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I picked up a couple other things. So I started doing coaching, private coaching for clients one-on-one. I'm looking at introducing the possibility of group coaching because I think it'd be a little bit more affordable, but I still put in the same amount of effort, but I compound my time, so to speak. There's another aspect that I've been working on, but I have not put the pedal to the metal, as in I haven't released it to the public for it to be consumed as a paid download. Why? Because I'm a little nervous. Part of me is actually trying to figure out how I can get this to work, and I'm a little scared to put it out there because, as usual, people love to rip things to shreds as soon as they see it. But I also know, on the one hand, if I don't put the first edition out there, I won't know what to tweak, I won't know what to fix, and I won't know which direction I need to go going forward. So the bottom line is I need to try everything. It's part of the reason I started trying out Instagram versus Facebook. It's part of the reason I started trying out Twitter recently instead of Instagram. So I'm branching out to different platforms, mostly because people are pretty much everywhere. I can't guarantee that my ideal client is going to be on Instagram or on Facebook, but I need to show up as many places as possible to get the word out, right? So the same thing happened with the podcast. I was putting it on SoundCloud. I started off on Facebook live audio, which I don't have that function anymore for business pages, but it does happen to be available for live Facebook, just on your personal page. There was a big, debate way back in the day about whether I should use my personal page or my business page to promote my business, and I decided to go the other route. Instead of using my personal page, I went the business page as well. And that's when I started actually using my Instagram page more as a business page, and that's where the bulk of my content is. From there, like I said, I used to rip the audio from the live Facebook live audio and put it onto SoundCloud. SoundCloud doesn't have, well, at the time, didn't have a distribution process where it would put it on other platforms as well. It was just on SoundCloud, but the content was there. Eventually, it took me a while, but I finally decided, okay, you know what? Everyone else is on Spotify. People keep, bragging about how many countries they're in and things. And I was like, you know what? I want that too. So I finally pushed myself to find out how I could get an aggregator or a distribution platform to be able to put it out to Spotify and other platforms as well. So introduction to liberated syndication, which is Libsyn. Perfect. It's been working really great for me, and I've been making sure that I upload content as often as possible. So like that, I've slowly been evolving my business. Now I'm down to a situation where I really want to expand past one-on-one clients because it takes a lot from me. The one-on-one clients are a lot more intense, and I get to really hear all of the deep, dark pain, pressure points, triggers, traumas that people have been through. And it's very, very, very exhausting as far as energy work is concerned. I'm happy to do it. I love doing this. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But I also need to make sure that I'm making it possible for me to do other things as well. If I only depend on one-on-one clients, it's going to take a lot out of me, and it would be pretty much the same thing as clocking in a 9 to 5, if not worse. So I want to balance work and life, right? And that's the whole reason I stepped out of the rat race, to be able to make sure I raise my child, give her as organic an understanding of what household life should look like. So eventually when she has her own family, she knows what's expected as well. But on the other hand, I do want to make some money. I do want to be able to, put bread on the table, and I want to be able to make an impact. So I've had to kind of force myself to look at things logically, which I don't always like to do. I don't like stepping out of my comfort zone. So I've been really pushing to see if I can build my business in such a place where I have the voice, I have the people listening in, and as they come and ask me questions, then I can actually give them an answer, or at least put it in a group setting where it's not so pinpointed and focused on one person, that they can ask general questions and still get an answer for themselves. So here I am looking at a Facebook group, but it will be a paid subscription and also paid downloads. I'm trying really hard to figure out what kinds of downloads I want to do. I'm actually going to start with journals. And the silly thing is, I created journals I think it was like 2 years ago now, and they've been quietly sitting in a corner of my desk on my desktop, mostly because I sent it to a couple of people, and one person came back who happened to be an energy healer and said, you know what, if you're going to do chakra journals, you might want to look at the facts a little bit more. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, did I get something wrong? And so I got nervous and I got scared and I shoved it into a corner. I didn't look at it again. But here I am in a position to be able to expand the way that I make money. They say you need multiple strands of income, right? So that you don't depend on any one thing. Well, up till now, I've been comfortable depending on one client, one-on-one clients, the kind of service that I'm offering at the moment. But if I were to offer more than those things, that means I hit different price points and different economic groups of people who would need the help still, but maybe can't afford the one-on-one help, but they can get little bits and pieces of content that I've already created and help themselves a little bit. So as scared as I am, as nervous as I am, as safe as I've been all this time, I'm trying really hard to make sure that whatever I offer going forward is accessible to as many people as possible. So here I am, smack dab in the same situation I always find myself in. My desperation ends up being my inspiration. Why? Because I've painted myself into a corner and now I'm feeling like I'm leaking energy everywhere and I need to be able to protect myself a little bit more, which means if I had different kinds of services and different kinds of products, I could actually loosen my grip on my schedule a little bit and still make the same amount of money. So it's not that I'm trying to shirk my responsibilities or do less work. I'm trying to work smarter. And it took me a little while to get here, but all this time I've been coasting and now it's like, you know what? I can't anymore. It's really, really painful and difficult. And I'm not functioning at optimal capacity in all areas of my life anymore. I'm leaking energy, like I said. So it ended up being one of those situations. Obviously, COVID brought all this to light, and I had to figure out for myself, what else can I possibly do? I was sitting here racking my brain thinking, you know what? One-on-one clients are the best. I get the best aha moments because I can really pinpoint on the sound of their voice, the way they tell their stories, the words that they use, and then help them understand that they do have power in their hands. They do have decisions that they can make that really could change their lives. So here I am freaking out like, oh my gosh, I want this kind of aha revolution, right? I want people to have that kind of a transformation, but I can't give that same amount of energy to 15 people a week because it's a lot of work. Plus, not everyone has the same situation. I'm not limited to just marriages. I'm not limited to just people who are coming out to their parents or to their friends. I'm not limited to just people who are in co-worker situations where they're finding that they're being bullied maybe, or that they're being workhorse slave driven by their bosses and they're having a really tough time speaking up for themselves. I encompass all of that because emotional intelligence is more about self-awareness. So once you know who you are and what you need, then you can effectively ask for your needs to be met. So here I am racking my brain. And of course, Cece, the six-figure chick, is over here like, you know what? You need to stop playing around. You need to be doing this. And she shows us literally the breakdown of how her income comes into her each month. And I'm like, oh my God, of course. Downloads. I can create the download and it can be bought several times over. So I went the safe route again. I've been working on a cookbook forever and I've been breaking it into separate sections because not everyone needs everything that's in the cookbook. And I wanted to give out teaser pieces so that people can buy it at a lower price point and see if they like the kinds of recipes that I'm actually offering. So here I am trying to figure out what it is that I can do. And I decided, you know what, let's just release the cookbook first because it's safe and it's recipes that I use on a daily or weekly basis that my daughter loves to death. And it's one of those situations where 10, 15 years in the future, I want to be able to say that I have it to give to someone or have it to leave behind for my daughter so that she knows exactly the way we used to make stuff. Last thing I want is that situation where your grandma dies or your great aunt dies and that one recipe that she did so well that you absolutely love that reminds you of home, you can't get access to because she never wrote it down and she never passed it on to anyone. And you didn't take the time to go ask her for it or to learn it from her. So these are the things I'm trying really hard to do. So I figured, okay, safe bet. I don't have to throw the journals out there yet, but let me do the cookbook. The cookbook was actually a good hit. I didn't advertise it as much because, like I said, this is new to me. Promoting myself is a little weird. I would rather promote other people, but in order for me to make money, I need to do that too. So stay tuned for the other episode on promoting yourself and the traumas that come with speaking up about your abilities. That's coming up soon as well. So here I am trying something small. I did it, okay? I put it out there and I told people about it and a couple people bought it and I felt pretty good about that. But it's also also one piece of this major cookbook that I'm working on. the piece that I released was breakfast. And I figured, COVID, why not? We have the ability to have brunch now because most of us are working from home. So why not indulge yourself in those recipes that you really, really enjoy? The ones that feel indulgent that you would spend money at McDonald's for, but you could definitely make it home. So here, I feel good. It worked, and now it's on to the next one. I'm ready to step out again on faith and put out a bunch of my journals. So I'm basically creating tools that you can work yourself through, almost like a workbook. And it's tools that I've slowly created for my clients based on their specific needs. And it's not all of it at the same time. I don't want my clients to feel like I'm giving away trade secrets for which they paid top dollar, but I do want people to be able to feel like they can self-help themselves a little bit. A lot of times you need to be able to work through an emotion and you have no idea what to ask yourself or how to write it down. Or even if you wrote it down, you don't understand where it's coming from or what to do about it next, but it is off your chest a little bit. So these are things I want to kind of guide people on because I think it could be really, really helpful. So alongside the journals, I am also working on this Facebook group. I'm starting promotions tonight because I have about a week and some change to promote because I'm going to start on June 15th for a 2-week period of free access. And at the end of the free access, I want to show people, you know what, if you want to stay in the group, we're going to start a subscription so that you can get the kind of affection and attention and support and accountability that you could get from me, but in a group setting. So it's not just me holding you accountable. You can actually partner up with someone inside the group as well. And hopefully you find similar people who have similar situations that you can discuss and have people come together and talk about, because it's easier to get more perspectives that way that could possibly help you in your specific situation. So here I am on the precipice of yet another leap of faith. And every time I say leap of faith, I can't help but imagine the scene from Indiana Jones. I want to say it's the Lost Ark. Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, I think, because he had to go through a bunch of tests of faith to be able to get to the Ark itself. And there was one where he had to kind of throw sand onto what looked to be an imaginary ledge, but it's actually there. It just blends into the cavern below. And I thought it was really beautiful. So this is the thing that I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to step out on faith. I'm going to put it out there. I've been assured by Cece that, the first draft of anything is just going to be crap anyway. Just throw it out there and see how it goes. And then you can put up edition number 2, edition number 3, edition number 7, whatever the case may be, and keep on building your business. So tonight, I'm telling you, my desperation has led me to my inspiration. And it's like that for a lot of situations in life. It's not just for business. A lot of times we let ourselves get into a situation where, you know what, I can't take it anymore. This is the end. I mean, let's look at Black Lives Matter. We are finally at wit's end. We're tired of the situation. It's been going on forever. And you know what? We're not going to take this lying down anymore. We're going to get up and protest. And we're going to make it a global protest. We're going to make sure the entire universe knows this is what's going on. We don't think it's right. We're not going to let it happen this way anymore. We need to protect ourselves. We need to stand up for each other. We need to police our own neighborhoods. And this is why we've come up with other ways to protest without getting ourselves hurt or shot or jailed in the process. Now, that's going to happen regardless, but I've seen so many different variations of this now. It's beautiful. I've seen people dancing on the streets. I've seen cops join those people dancing on the streets. It feels good to me, because how could you arrest someone for dancing on the street? I've seen another one where they've stopped all traffic on a highway and a lot of people just lay flat on their stomachs and just lay there. Yes, it's nuisance. Yes, it's stopping traffic or whatever. But the point is, they're making a statement. They're making waves. They're making people take notice. Why are they just laying there? Peaceful, not saying anything, just in the way a little bit, because they need you to pay attention. So this is the thing. When you get in a position where you kind of have to step up and say something, or it's going to continue like this forever and you just can't take it, that's when you get really creative. That's when it becomes inspiration. I can't tell you how many times I've been in situations where I just didn't have the money, but I still had mouths to feed. So I had to look in the pantry and the cupboard, and I had to decide what my essentials had to be. I always have to have milk, eggs, bread, and sugar in the house. Have to. Without fail. Because with those 4 ingredients, I can do a lot. I really can. French toast can be done. It could be, sandwiches. Egg sandwiches are great. I'm happy to do egg sandwiches. It could be anything, honestly. But those 4 ingredients are the basis for everything for me. Another luxury item would be butter and honey. because with the butter, honey plus the sugar, I can make honey butter. It's a luxurious thing, but it lasts. It really does last. It's Texas Roadhouse style honey butter, but I guarantee you it is a hit every time. Another thing that I make sure that I have is flour. I like to keep bread flour and also all-purpose flour because my cookies are made with both. And also, I like making pancakes. I like making waffles. I like making crepes. I like making, what else? Popovers. So the bread flour, sorry, not the bread flour, the all-purpose flour really, really works in a bind. But I had to get creative because I couldn't spend a lot of money. Meat costs a lot. Eggs don't cost much at all. Chicken is a lot cheaper than pork, is a lot cheaper than beef, is a lot cheaper than lamb and mutton. But the point is, I need to know what I can do with the meat that I have and how far I can stretch it. A lot of times, if I don't have a lot of meat, I will add potatoes because guess what? Potatoes absorb all that yummy goodness when you make like a curry, and it doubles the portion size. So suddenly you have something that tastes like meat, but it melts in your mouth because the potatoes are just, oh my gosh, they fall apart so beautifully. And you double the amount of the curry that you've made. I love doing vegetables. Vegetables will last a long time. A lot of people, when they eat rice and curry, they like to have lots of meat and lots of rice. For me, I like to have rice. I like to have lots of different vegetable curries and one meat dish. So then you actually double the portion size again, but you're getting all of your vitamins. You feel full for longer and you don't waste. Everything goes into your body and is absorbed for some reason or another because it's all home cooked. So like I said, honestly speaking, my desperation has been my source of inspiration so many times, it's not even funny. Let me give you another example. I have been in situations where I wasn't able to buy new clothes. A lot of times they'll tell you, you need to dress a certain way for your scene on set. You have to bring your own wardrobe. And I remember I was supposed to play a young woman who was pregnant. And at the time, the way that they wanted me to dress with the pregnancy belly, it was a square pillow. And it did not sit well, and it didn't fill out my belly very well. It looked very strange. So what I ended up doing was I cut a pair of pantyhose so it would become shorts, and I used the pantyhose to stuff a regular round pillow inside so I could shape the belly and it would fit well. And you know what? That worked. I didn't have to buy a belly. That is also readily available, but I didn't have to buy a belly, but it was, pennies on the dollar, and it worked for the job that it had to do. It worked perfectly well. The other thing is I've had situations where I've had to dress up and make the outfit look fancy. So you use jewelry sometimes, maybe you use scarves sometimes. I've had situations where my daughter had to get up and get dressed for something very, very beautiful, but the dress that they had in mind didn't quite fit her, so I had to pin it in such a way so that it would fit her, and it looked very sleek and elegant because it was fitted to her. So little things like this. I've taken pillowcases and made sundresses. I've taken old saris and made what's known as a power detector, which is it's a blouse and a long skirt combo, and simply put, it just looks elegant. So when push comes to shove, if I really, really, really don't have the money, I will get creative. And you know what? I feel good about the creativity that comes out. So don't knock the fact that you can do something, and don't let the parts that you can't do stop you from the things that you can. The last thing I want to hear from my clients is, oh my God, yeah, that's such a great idea, but don't give me the but. I am the queen of cheap, and if I can do it for free, damn it, I will do it for free. I've been using Microsoft Paint forever, and let me tell you, I've been able to do some fantastic things with Microsoft Paint and have never had a chance to touch Adobe Photoshop or any of those, photo manipulating techniques because this has worked well enough for me. I don't have to pay the money to get Adobe, and I can actually work within Paint, and if I need to, I can trace pictures and make it so that it is my own creation, and I feel pretty good about stuff. I've been making handmade, homemade stuff forever, and I know with a little bit of ingenuity and push come to shove, if I really need a YouTube tutorial, they're out there. I can make just as beautiful a gift or a card or a piece of clothing. I made handkerchiefs for my nephew one day because he wanted handkerchiefs, and I couldn't find any people that weren't, people that were selling handkerchiefs. I couldn't find anyone selling children's handkerchiefs. So I did the best I could, and I actually broke out my sewing machine and made them. Honestly speaking, your desperation can be your greatest source of inspiration if you can stop saying but. So if you have any questions or comments, please drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear your suggestions or your ingenuity moments where you found a way to make your inspiration work into a creative way so that you can find a solution for the situation that you happen to be in. Meanwhile, you guys, try not to let but stop you. Try not to focus on the things you can't do because they stop the things that you can. You know what your strengths are. Focus on your strengths. Gary Vee says it all the time. Double down on your strengths. Forget your weaknesses. Double down on your strengths. And I guarantee you, you find out new things about yourself. I love you guys, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye.